No one knows your real story, you can't, bash someone if you really don't know what's going on with them. So
brings a lot
shout
of
out to Flo
confidence
for bashing me all weekend before they started wrestling, so that was nice.
Everything I did, me and my
yeah,
coaches
conference
were
is
joking about it.
it was good. My first match
we worked on some stuff for so long,
Jimmy Hankton stuff,
and it just never worked in my matches.
No, it wasn't pleased in that match.
But I just stayed positive and stayed on the path that they had for me, and
some scary stuff.
It's a lot.
Get by.
That confidence is a lot, and I think that this one will do good.
I was just grateful to be able to step on the mat again.
Very good.
To be able to compete and make it even farther than I did last year when I even had more confidence last year. It means a lot,
It's just a game,
I'm just grateful for my family, all the people who really got me here.
In those moments, it's not too hard to.
Yanni said it too when he won. It was just like, I'm just a guy you see. There's a lot of guys who really got me in this place. The guy filming right there, he coached me in my cadet world team trials. That's just part of the journey, Greg Shedd. There's so many people here. That's why I really like this tournament. There's so many people here that have truly got me to this point. So seeing so many people, giving them high fives, hugs, telling them how much I love them,
I think
has made this tournament a lot more fun. Obviously, I want to win, I do the best I can, but again, I'm just super happy that I can just be here. All these people in the stands, they don't know what it's like to be out there, and as much as people can bash you, he's not that, he's that, and even the other side, people are very excited to see me wrestle. It's like it's tough being yourself, so it's just a lot.
What is some of the adversity you went through to get to this point?
We can we'll get into that after the tournament, but just a lot, injury, I'll give you one thing, it's scary when you wake up in the hospital and it's been a couple days since you've been awake, so it's scary stuff to wake up and you know what day it is. So again, just grateful that I can lace my shoes up and represent all the kids who don't get to wrestle. I think that I took a lot for granted. Just like this past year, I never really understood that everything I get to do is like really special stuff, and even just to go to practice is just like a blessing. So just understanding that has really just gave me a new perspective. So just the more that I compete and I understand these moments, it's making me love more the just the moments I get with these people around me. Obviously all this stuff's great. If I win, I lose. It's like I can't take any of this stuff with me. 100 years, no one's gonna remember who wins this tournament. So it's awesome that I can just build relationships and give love to the people that have given me love.
So you mentioned Yanni a few times. What advice does he give to you?
Yeah, Yanni's the man. And again, people bash him. He's on his own path. So Yanni's done a lot. I think that again, obviously Yanni's a great wrestler, but it's his mind that I think really makes him him. As much as I love wrestling that dude, I have a really hard time beating him because he just is so composed when we wrestle. And there's days where I've been up 9-0 in freestyle against him, and I somehow lose the match. Literally go take down, turn. I'm like, I got this. Go for it. I just got taken down again. Oh, it's all right. 9-2. All right, now it's 9-8. I'm stalling with a minute left. All right, now it's 15-9. Okay, I lost. Now I'm upset. So just Yanni's a really special guy, and there's so many special guys. All of us are special. They're all special in different ways. So as much as Yanni's helped me, guys who are not even starting have helped me a lot. Again, just like that, perspective thing. It's just like you don't need to be, the greatest wrestler alive to help someone else out that's wrestling. You could. There's people I text on DM I've never met, they've never wrestled a day in their life, and they give me advice, and some of that stuff's been the best stuff I've ever heard. So just taking bits and pieces, taking small bites, and enjoying this process.
Tell me, what does family, not factory, mean to you?
Well, that's gonna get me riled up. I think a lot of teams say that they're family, and not that they're not. I think every team's got a brotherhood. I just think. Family includes a lot of things, it includes our wrestling managers, our coaches, people off the sidelines, people who are even on the wrestling team that just show up to watch practice, or the parents on the team. It's so much more than just, and not to bash these big schools, but it's like, we don't have, we have a beautiful wrestling room, and that's probably the best thing we got, but there's schools that have, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can pick and choose who they want. And, there's a lot of, rules we got to follow and a lot of things, so it's not as impressive when you got $100 million to make a team. I mean, you can buy and choose and just recruit anyone because your name's great. It's just not as satisfying to watch them win. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of directing that towards a lot of schools, but again, it's just when you're loyal to kids, and you build the kid up from the start, it's a lot different. There's programs that recruit kids and that's like, oh, that's my team, and some kid goes in the transfer portal. What happened, coach? Well, he's a returning All-American. We need him. What was the point of recruiting me then? You said I was going to be the guy. Well, So I just really think that, the family aspect's a lot more than just, I love my brothers, you know, they're there for me. So it's just a lot more of that. And it's just like, you know, there's people like, again, you know, roommates I've had and just people who've never even, not even guys who they're injured all the time, you know, they can't even get to practice, you know. You look at their point of view, it's like, dude, I wish I could just drill, you know. You know, there's kids who don't even, you know, they're not even out of the hospital. You know, they spend their life in the hospital and just, you know, like I said, when you wake up and you don't know what day it is, and you don't know where you're at, it's like, you know, I was angry at first when I found that out, and then I walked down the highway and I see kids who look like they've never been out of the hospital. It's like, wow, like, I'm an asshole, you know. I got the world in my hands, and I'm upset that I can't get out of the hospital. Like, it's just, you know, again, the family thing's a lot more. I had a lot of people visit me, you know, when I was out and stuff. So again, you know, it's not that, you know, it's just the guys around you, it's the coaches, it's the culture, you know. I got a whole group of fans out there, you know, and I go up to every single one of them and give them a hug, you know. And not that, you know, I have a small group, but it's just like I appreciate every person that, you know, has given me help, you know. Again, you know, Jason Garrison standing right there. He you know, I had a, you know, a mishap happen when I was 17, and and my coach couldn't be there, and he stepped up to the plate, and I just remember he just kept saying, you know, lay your heavy mitts on the guys, and I went out there and I wrestled some of the best I did when I was young, and again, it's just family not factory really means, you know, there's people around you that are truly there for you, and it's like, even on your worst days, you know, even beyond your worst days, the days where you know, you're standing on the ledge of a building, you know, ready to jump off, and it's like, they're right there, you know, to catch you. You know, there's one guy on the bottom, one guy pulling you back, you know. So it's just so much more than, you know, how good you are at wrestling. Oh, you're great at wrestling, we want you, you know. I can think of a lot of phone calls, the coaches just calling me, telling me how great I am. It's like, that's great, you know, that's cool and all. Like, not that I didn't, you know, obviously I had a good high school career, but it's like, you know, I want to be told that like, I can do better. You know, I want to be told that I kind of suck. You know, not that Mike Gray did that, but, you know, he called me, he's like, hey, you're great, but let's get you to that next level. So I think the family aspect just means, you know, you're truly for that person, you know, their best days, the worst days, you know, the days that, you know, they're ready to quit, you know, they're still calling you every other week, you know. So it's like, you know, so much more than a paycheck, so much more than, you know, a name brand, you know, so much more than just, you know, again, the name. It's like everyone's so focused on, you know, the name of it. It's just like, if people truly love you, people are truly there for you, you know, they'll be there for no matter what, you know. If you never wrestle again, if I wrestle for the rest of my life, you know, win the Olympics, go, you know, 0-1, you know, it's just like, you know, rep your charge. I don't think that people, you can go 0-1 in wrestling, but again, just, you know, people are, you know, I've had some dark times, and, you know, there was a lot of people there who just, you know, love me no matter what, and you know, I just think that a lot of other schools aren't like that. You know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm delusional, but you got to be a little delusional to get to this point, so.